Yeah, guys, thank you for joining and another one. Today I have one of the techiest men around, Tom Huddlestone. So I'm going to wait for him to get in, but until he gets here, you don't know where he is though, but get Wish on at some point. Matty Cods, could you say what you want me to actually do in proper English? Okay, cool. Tom's here. But yeah, guys, keep subscribing and everything. And my actual podcast, Counter Attack Pod, yeah, it's there pinned up. Make sure you follow and stay up to date. I'm going to get him in now and then we're just going to go. Yeah, just get him in. Tom, I'm adding you now. Yes.
How are you? You alright?
I'm good, man. How you doing, man?
Not too bad.
Yeah, good. How's your day going?
Today's been alright. It's gone quite quick, to be fair. What we've done, one of the runs that the club set us out to do first thing this morning, and then they did like a Zoom call optional this afternoon.
Yeah.
So I got involved in that, which passed an hour. So yeah, it's not been too bad today.
How do they actually know if you're actually doing anything?
They gave us a GPS watch and a heart rate belt.
Okay.
And then you have to download an app on your phone, and then after you've done your runs, you sync it to that basically, and
Yeah.
they get all the information that way. So it's like Big Brother; they are keeping tabs on you.
How hard is it though, like having to do all that by yourself and not with the team?
I think that's the hardest part. I don't think, obviously, the actual runs themselves aren't too bad, but I think it's just finding a motivation by yourself. If you're in a group with a team, obviously everybody's spurring each other on and stuff like that. But I think, especially not so much at the minute, but the past 4 or 5 weeks where you get 1 hour's exercise outside to spur yourself on and get the motivation that way has been a little bit difficult. But as I say, because it's all recorded and you have to do certain runs on certain days, it's got to be done.
What's it actually like been like for you just to not finally, but you've been playing football now for well over a decade now, yeah? Like since you were 16. So, well, first team 16. But like, this is probably like your first time prolonged at home, right? Other than pre-season, other than off-season. What's it been like for you, like filling your time?
I think the fact that we got the runs given off the club, I think that's given us a little bit of, I quite like a routine and a plan to stick to. So having that as a guidance has been okay, but then it's just filling the rest of your time. I've got a 3-year-old, so he obviously keeps us on our toes in and around the house. But yeah, I think generally it's just I've been looking at I started my coaching badges a few years ago, so I've been re-looking at some of that stuff, writing down a few sessions that we've done this season, which I thought were good sessions. So just writing them down and even tweaking them a little bit to my own, where I think they could have improved a little bit.
So that's what you want to do moving forward?
Yeah, I think I've done because I've missed a few months this year with injury. I did a couple of bits for Sky, media-wise, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and that would be something I'd like to do. But equally, the coaching side of it, when I did the Badgers out in Northern Ireland, when you've got to use your mind and your different ideas, I really enjoyed that at the time, to be honest. But whilst you're playing it, I know it's difficult to find the days and the hours to fit in all the sessions. But whilst I was doing it, it was something that I could see myself doing longer term as well.
Yeah, no, I rate that, man. So we're going to start today with when it started for you. So you're obviously at Derby now, but you were also at Derby when you first started, right?
Yeah.
How did you even get into Derby? Because you're from Nottingham originally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so how did that even come about?
Well, the beginning of everything was we didn't, at my junior school, we didn't really have a school team as such, but we just played in the local five-a-side tournaments.
Yeah.
Got scouted by someone from Forest, Alan McCarthy, when I was 8 years old. Went on the trials at Forest, ended up staying there for 4 years. And then at the end of the under-12 season, they were like, I think they were just trying to play mind games, to be fair, because there was probably 3 or 4 of us that were the better players in that squad. But with myself, they said they were happy for me to come back the following year on like a 6-week trial to try and earn a contract.
Yeah.
Even though I'd been there for 4 years, so they should have seen enough to make a decision. And then my last game or one of my last games for Forest, after being told this, was against Derby. And that was one of my best games, to be fair. And then the Derby manager at the time, under 13s one, he had said to my mum, "Oh, we understand he's having a bit of issues with the contract, but we've seen enough today that we'd like to offer him one."
If the Forest guy said that?
No, the Derby guy, sorry.
The Derby guy, okay.
But I was playing for Forest at the time, but they knew that I'd had contract issues. And my mum, which it didn't backfire, but it could have, she was like, "Oh, no, like, thanks for the offer, but he can go on a 6-week trial like everybody else has to do."
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the under-13 season, I went on trial at Derby for the pre-season. Not really a pre-season when you're that age, but for like the first month or so. Ended up getting offered a 2-year deal as a schoolboy there, and then 3 or 4 years later, I was on the bench for the first team a few times whilst at school, and then as soon as I left school, a couple of games in the pre-season, and come the start of the season, George Burley had put me in the deep end and kept me in the team for 2 years, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I was gonna come to that, but before I did come to that, is it true that at Nottingham Forest, even at that age, they said you weren't strong enough?
I think that was, but I'm not sure if it's still the same, but they have to give, if they don't offer a player that's contracted a new one, I think there's maybe 15 or 20 excuses or reasons that they have to give.
Okay.
And I think that was the sort of official line.
Yeah.
Either wouldn't be strong enough or aggressive enough or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But obviously, at 12 years old, I've probably, obviously not the same build as I am now, but I've been...
I hope not.
No, back then I was probably... Especially that last year, I shot up a lot. I was probably touching 5'10", 5'11", I reckon.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So I've never... That side of it, the aggression side and being aggressive with headers and stuff like that, I never needed at that age. But the managers at Forest at the time were quite old school and British, where it's like you need to like be aggressive and use your size more and stuff like that. But it was never really needed.
Yeah. So at what point, because people, since I've told everyone that you're going to be on my live, everyone just wants to talk about your tech. That's all literally anyone wants to talk about. There's other things. So, like, what? Where did that even come from? Like, what coach or who were you watching? How did you get to the point where your technique is how it is? Because to this day, I'm not going to lie to you, you're easily one of the most technical savvy. I don't know what your tech is just unreal. It's just unreal. So who kind of taught you that, or who were you watching for you to get that way?
I don't know. I think as a very youngster, like 4 or 5, my granddad used to take me to watch my uncle, who was just like part-time at a local club in Nottingham. Used to have from, I don't know, maybe he was there for maybe 15, 20 years, to be fair, with the same group of lads. So I used to have a kickabout with the subs when I was like 5 or 6. My granddad was always, which I'm trying to do my little one now, emphasising using both feet, and like obviously my little lad tries to pick it up and move it so he can kick it, but got him to like sort of manoeuvre it with his feet now, which he's quite good at. But yeah, as I say, I think where I've always been physically bigger and taller, especially at a younger age than a lot of the players, where it was probably key for them to work on trying to match somebody's strength or be more aggressive because they lacked the height or physical size. I think for me, because I naturally had that, it was probably easier for me to work on the technical aspects, and I didn't have to worry about fending people off or jumping for headers. I could work on, I don't know, bringing it down on my chest or using different attributes with both feet rather than thinking, oh, I need to rush into this tackle and shoulder ball someone to the floor and stuff like that.
Yeah, because like I'm pretty sure you've heard it so many times, but for someone your size, your feet are just ridiculous. It's and George Burley, I think I read somewhere that he said you're one of the best passers of the ball he's ever seen, and that's you at 16. So like, what kind of pressure does that put on you being in the team? And it's not even like you were like bit part player. You were fully playing, like games and everything.
You know, I think helped with the mindset was the year before our academy director, when John Gregory was the manager, and the club had some massive stars like Kincladze was still there, Ravanelli, Craig Burley, Brian O'Neill, Branko Struper.
Oh, Struper.
There was like I think there was three of us that were having Thursday mornings off school. I was going over to Derby, training with the first team, and then coming back and doing the school in the afternoon. So I think being around them type of players that I'd seen playing World Cups or Champions League finals with like Ravanelli, and I think Struper did quite well in the '98 World Cup for Belgium. I think that just gave me like a little ease of the mind, really. So once I did get my chance, I've always had the mindset of if the manager thinks you're good enough, then you are, regardless of your age. If he's got the confidence to put you in there, then have the confidence in yourself to go and perform, really.
How important would you say confidence from managers and teammates plays in someone's career? And it's not just talent alone, would you say?
Yeah, no, I don't think it is talent alone. Especially probably more so nowadays. I think it's more mindset and a bit of accountability, people willing to take responsibility for their own performances, managers trusting younger players and pushing them, keep developing. John giving it. Yes, I think it is a mixture of anything, and I think nowadays with the money that's in the game, it's probably more difficult for a player to break in and stay in the team at such a young age, because people can go out and spend X amount of millions on players.
Well, you obviously handled it okay at that age because Tottenham came in for you. Do you remember much about that time when you heard that Tottenham were looking to sign you?
A little bit. So my first season I played, I think like 50 games or something, and we only just stayed up, to be fair. So it wasn't great. And then the year after, again, I played every game, but we finished fourth, which was a good achievement. But I signed for Tottenham in the January. So I remember there being a bit of, obviously, rumours around in December. There was a few clubs, maybe 4 or 5 clubs were saying that they wanted more experience or seniority at the time in January. But come the end of the season, they'll be back in and definitely making a bid. But obviously, you can never.
Never.
I know Derby were in a bit of financial trouble as well. So yeah, I remember being down at Tottenham's training ground after the medical and the chats, and
but then
I was a bit umming and ahhing because, as I say, because we were in a good position, and I felt obviously from Nottingham, been at Derby for like 6 years at the time. in my head, it was a case of if we had a decent chance of getting promoted, which we didn't in the end, because we lost to Preston in the playoff semi-final. But that was in my mind, which I would have preferred at the time probably to play for Derby in the Premier League than I would to sign out elsewhere in the Premier League. And then on the other hand, it was at the time you had your cemented top four, didn't you? Which was like Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool. They were the top four guaranteed. And then after that, you probably had Tottenham, Everton, and Newcastle were your next batch of teams, and then it was everybody else. So as I say, on the other hand, it was probably a case of, will this opportunity ever come round again? And
you initially went on loan to Wolves, though, didn't you?
I stayed at Derby the rest of that season. Went to Tottenham in the pre-season. Wasn't really involved, or not even always training with the first team for the first couple of months, and then I went on loan to Wolves, who had just been relegated.
Yeah, and you also scored against Derby, right?
Yeah, that was a strange, because for Derby, I think I played 93 or 94 games for Derby over the 2 seasons, and somehow I never managed to score a goal. But a lot of my games I played at centre back, and like corners, and that I was taking the corners, so that's my excuse. When I went on loan to Wolves, I was only there for like 12 games, but when I went back to Pride Park, I managed to stick one through Campy's legs, who was an ex-teammate. So,
did you celebrate?
I did. My initial thoughts were, if I score, I'm not going to celebrate. But obviously, I wasn't used to scoring, so I didn't know what the feeling would be like.
Yeah.
And then every time I touched the ball for the first however long, I was getting a bit of grief off the fans. A bit of booing, bit of singing, "Oh, you'll never play for Tottenham" and whatever. Rather than them obviously understanding the reason why you'd leave a championship club to one of the biggest in the country. So I was getting a bit of stick, and then, as I say, once I did get that feeling, especially against one of my good mates who I still speak to now, which is 16, 17 years later in Lee Camp, I just naturally went a bit mad. Not over the top, but I just celebrated as you would.
I rate that. Listen, celebrate that. Take your top off everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm proper for that. So going back to play for Tottenham now, and you make your debut. How nervous were you making your debut? Who did you make your debut on? Was it Yo? Was it Yo?
Yeah, Martin Yo.
Yeah.
It was Fulham away. It was towards. Well, actually, I spoke to someone the other day. It was actually in January, but I thought it was towards the end of the season. Away at Fulham, I came on for I don't know how long, gave a free kick away, and they scored from the free kick, and we lost 1-0. So it was a bit like bittersweet, but it was nice. As I say, because I went there in the summer, didn't make my debut till the January. It was like I needed to get the monkey off my back and get that first game out of the way as soon as possible, which obviously didn't go to plan. But I was just happy to make my Premier League debut at, what was that then, 19. So yeah, once that was out of the way, I think that settled me down. I only made 4 sub appearances that season, so it wasn't great, but
yeah. But at the same time, it's all progress at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Can you remember your well, you obviously can, your first goal? Because I want to talk about this goal for I think it's your
for
first
Wolves
goal.
or for Tottenham?
Here. For City. I mean, against City.
Oh, first Premier League goal, yeah.
So, how many more goals sweeter than that do you reckon you scored with like sweeter than that strike?
I've not actually scored too many, to be fair, but there's one that was probably as difficult, which was in Europe for Tottenham. David Bentley from a corner to the edge of the box, and I hit a volley that went in the bottom corner. But yeah, I think that
went better.
For difficult, yeah, it's probably for difficultness, it's probably that one, I reckon.
Do you remember?
I'm confident to hit the target with that type of strike more often than not, I would say.
Yeah. Listen, that strike, and you started off that move. Remember that?
Yeah, I think that gets underrated by a few people, I think.
Yeah, like you started off the move, and then you managed to get up there, which is something I'm actually going to touch on actually. So you've got up there, you struck it, and it's gone in. But when I look back at that goal, and I see the way you've made it from the bottom to the top and scored, a lot of time people might say that Huddlestone wasn't mobile enough, and you know he can't move and stuff like that. But when you hear things like that, what does it do to you? Like, do you feel like, okay, maybe it's true, or maybe it's something I have to change, or do you just think, nah, you're not watching properly?
Um, I'd say it's a mixture of everything. To be honest, there's when people first mentioned it or whatever,
Mm.
and the more my career's gone on, the more you see. As I say, with the GPS, we're the GPS units for training and matches, uh, and obviously, sprinting wise isn't naturally my game. There's a lot of
Mm.
people that sprint about and I don't know, fly into tackles and stuff more than me.
Yeah.
But the actual physical side, so distance covered or high speed running and stuff like that, which is like a 75-80% of your maximum, my numbers are generally the same as a lot of people in my position,
Mm.
whether that's in the same team or opposition we play against.
Yeah.
But I think it's just maybe a bit of my size, my body language, or being a bit more relaxed on the ball that gives people that impression. I think once people have a perception of you as a youngster when you first get involved,
Mm.
which mine is probably always he's technically good, but he can't get around the pitch, then
Yeah.
I think that will stick with you. Even though I think if I couldn't get around the pitch, I wouldn't have played sort of nearly 600 games in either the Premier League or the Championship.
Yeah. Do you think though that it did stick with you though?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a lot of people's um, regular sort of criticism or observation,
Mm.
which I think, as I say, compared to some other midfielders, either that I've played with or played against, even if it, even if the numbers are identical, even if I watch it back, sometimes it does look like they're doing more distance or
Mm.
covering stuff like that. But it's one of them. Unless I don't know, put the stats out after every single game,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean. There's no point. You just got to play your own game, and there has been times where it's probably not affected me as in performance wise, but I probably thought about it within matches more and thought
Mm.
rather than play my natural game, I'll maybe sprint about a bit more, and that just defeats the object
Yeah.
because it's your natural game which has either got you in the team or got you in that position. So
Yeah.
you need to stick to it.
I think that's more of a thing of like here in England, like they just want you to run around. Do you know what I mean?
No, exactly. Yeah, when you watch some of the games, I watch a lot of football. Um, you watch the Spanish games, and if a defender like kicks it out for a throw in, there's a few jeers in that. Whereas in England, if they boot it out for a throw in,
Mm.
it gets a round of applause and stuff like that. Whereas in Spain, if they keep the ball around the back and wait
Yeah.
for the opposition to make a mistake, that's fine and patient. But in England, it's like, oh, get the ball forward quicker,
Yeah.
quicker. With that, you need to score with every single attack, which
Yeah.
is impossible.
Yeah. I think they measure how effective you are in a game by like the kilometers you run. Do you know what I mean? And I've never
Yeah.
really been a big advocate of that, to be totally honest. But it is what it is. Did you ever look at, obviously you're at Tottenham, but even when you left Tottenham, did you ever look at maybe going abroad? Because I do believe if you went abroad, you would be like looked at like on a much higher level.
Um, Nothing serious. It was a little bit last season, but um, nothing like nothing fully concrete, to be honest.
Mm.
It's something I've probably been open to, but like, as I say, nothing has ever come close to happening, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm going to get a question for you. Oh, my little brother's got a question. Let me ask that one. Okay, guys, keep firing your questions in, and I will try to get through as many as possible. So, my little brother Sean, shout him out every time, says, "Who are your footballing idols growing up?"
Growing up, initially, my granddad used to have a VHS of Forest, one of their seasons, maybe 89, 90, which I used to replay because it was an hour and a half of football goals, but there was no one obviously on that team that fully excited me. So the first one I remember was Cantona when he went to Man United, and then a little bit later was Desai, more so when he obviously had a massive career before that at Marseille and AC Milan, but when he come to Chelsea, and then once I sort of started playing at a higher level myself, like in the England Victory Shield squad and stuff like that, it's always been Steven Gerrard. It's always been.
Gerrard.
Yeah.
What was it like playing against him then? Were you like, oh, Steven Gerrard? Because you must have played against him a couple of times.
Yeah, I played against him quite a lot for Spurs and at Hull, but I think early years at Tottenham, when Liverpool had Benitez, a lot of the time he played on the right hand side, and they had Alonso and Mascherano as the two in the middle. And then when he got slightly older, he was more of the deeper one.
Yeah.
In midfield, and equally I was a bit deeper, so we'd probably never fully come into like close contact like that. But for me, he could, especially when he was a bit younger, he could do absolutely everything: tackle, score, pass, run. He was rapid. Yeah, he could do absolutely everything.
If you had to name me your top three centre midfielders that you've played against, who would they be? So Stevie G's in there.
Yeah, it's awkward. I did something the other day, and I was saying, so on paper you'd probably look and say like Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Alonso, which on paper as players that they are, but I've always found it more difficult against the centre mid who wants to get the ball and face you up and try and dribble. Like I think obviously John will still be listening, but with like when Delph was at Villa, he would every time he got the ball. I don't know if it was whether it was a personal thing against me, or that was just his game in general. To be fair, but any centre mid who gets it and wants to like face you up and try and dribble past you as a centre mid, it's like just pass it wide and let your wingers do the dribbling. So I ain't got to try and like defend 1v1. But
that's what Brad said about him. To be fair, Brad said how he was just unreal. Both feet can go both ways, like just unreal.
But yeah, I played against Dembele. I played with him at Tottenham, but when he was at Fulham, like he's one of them who you think, please just pass it wide, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then like we can keep our shape, but he wants to like reel you in, and then either go past you or try and play a 1-2 round you and stuff like that. Which them names, well, Musa's probably got a bit more credit of late, but obviously everybody naturally thinks you're Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, but as much as if you close them down, they can play it around you one touch, and if you sit off them, they can hit 50, 60-yard passes.
Yeah.
Which that's for the fullbacks to worry about. But as an individual, I hated playing against like Dembele's and Delphs who want to face you up and try and take you on in the middle of the pitch.
I saw Danny Rose yesterday on Donny Music's live talking about Dembele, and he said how he was just unreal, and Musa for me is one of, I can't believe Tottenham let him go, to be honest, when they did. And I said this on a live with someone else last week or the week before, whatever, but you played with him as well, right?
Yeah, only for my last season at Spurs, yeah.
So what was it about him like that just made him so good? Because the guy you couldn't get him off the ball.
That's the thing. He's strong as an ox. Left and right foot, he's technically very good with both. He's quick. He's aggressive when defending. But yeah, I thought the same when Spurs let him go for like, was it 12 million quid or something like that?
Yeah.
You just think the way the market is now, and like he always used to get dragged off after like 60, 65 minutes for some reason, but he was unreal, to be fair.
No, I hear that, and he was, like I said, he was one of my best like centre midfielders, even though he played for Tottenham. Can't stand Tottenham. So, shouting tapping. Let me get this one in. So, do you think AVB didn't give you a fair opportunity? Midfield needed creativity at the time with Modric just leaving, and our football. That's all I got. So, do you think he gave you a fair opportunity, basically?
I don't personally think I did do a few interviews when I first left and went to Hull, and I don't think I got a fair crack at it. As in, I think it was in his mind. He had this team for these 2 games, but he knew like in the third game he was going to go with this team. So regardless of how you did in them 2 games, even if you was unbelievable, you knew likelihood you was going to get dropped. Like only maybe 4 or 5 of us, but equally, it was a difficult one because I just sort of cemented my place in the team under Harry for like the 18 months, 2 years, and then I got injured, which was meant to be a 3 or 4 month injury, which in turn sort of dragged on for like 18 months on and off. I think I played maybe 12 games in between, but like not ideal. And then I probably missed another 5 months. And then when I was back for the pre-season is when AVB took over.
Yeah.
So whether or not he hadn't seen enough of me beforehand, or I didn't do enough in that pre-season after missing 18 months or whatever, but I never felt I got a fair crack at it, to be honest. And however I performed, I didn't feel that I would stay in the team the week after, kind of thing.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's football and it happens. You played under Martin Yeo, Harry Redknapp, AVB. Was there anyone else?
Ramos came in for a little bit.
One day Ramos. Flip it. You know what? No, I'm not going to do that. What was one day Ramos like?
You know what?
He didn't last long at all.
No, I did a thing the other day. His ideas were actually decent, but I think the language barrier sort of. We had Poyet come in as a coach stroke interpreter.
Yeah.
As an ex-player who knew the club and stuff like that. But
yeah,
if you're managing, you're giving instructions, but it's got to go through somebody else to the player. And then if the player's got any queries, it's got to go back through that person.
Everything's lost in translation.
Yeah, you just lose the intensity of the training session, or even more so on match days, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If a manager's giving you a telling off or whatever, he needs to go through a third party, and then vice versa with your comeback. It loses its effect, I think. And then I think probably not long after he got the job, it was clear that his focus was just forget the league position. I'm just going to try and win the Carling Cup, because Tottenham hadn't won anything for a while.
Yeah.
That seemed to be his sole focus, was like, we just win the cup. And obviously he had a good cup CV with Sevilla. So yeah, it just seemed to go down that route, which obviously we did win the Carling Cup, which is still Tottenham's last trophy somehow.
No, it's not somehow. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
But yeah, he just seemed to go down that route, which it's another trophy on his CV. Yeah. No one would be bothered that we finished like 8th or 9th or whatever it was.
But behind closed doors, like, what is it like within the? Like, did he lose the players? Because is it just a thing where the people above are saying, no, you know what, this ain't really what we like? Or is it a thing where you as players as well can actually see that, hold on, this ain't right, and we're heading in the wrong direction?
Yeah, I think when he first came in, obviously everybody was buzzing. I think they'd just gone back to back with the Europa League with Seville, so he had a big track record coming in.
Yeah.
So he had everybody's respect straight away. And then I think after a little bit, as I say, with the translating for every training session and stuff like that, it's like, I don't know. I think because it was quite a young British squad,
Yeah.
I think people do lose a little bit of interest, and it's just probably a little bit of frustration as well, where you can see his ideas were actually good, but it's just not quite getting them across as he probably wants to.
Yeah, who was your favourite manager to play under at Tottenham?
No, probably Harry, to be fair. As I say, when Harry come in, there was a few of us that hadn't been playing, and Harry being a man manager, he put 5 or 6 of us in the team that hadn't been playing, knowing he's going to get a reaction from us. We won our first few games, and then on a personal level, the start of the following season, I managed to get myself in the team. Played, I think, 35 out of the 38 league games when we finished 4th for the first time, and that was under Harry. So that was one of my best seasons on a personal level. So I'd probably say Harry.
And can you? Well, you can obviously remember, but that Inter Milan game away to Inter. In that game, did you know? Obviously, you played with Bale before, like you've seen him in training or anything. But even you being part of that game, was it a thing of like, who is this guy? Because that's the game where a lot of people actually really clocked onto Gareth Bale, where he literally had control, monopoly of that left-hand side all game.
Yeah. As you said, the year before, he played quite a few games at left back, and Modric had been on the left, and it was myself, Palacios, or myself and Jenas in the middle. And then I think Asarikoto was back fit, so Harry put him at left back, moved Bale up to the left wing, and moved Modric inside as a centre mid.
Yeah.
And then you could see the freedom what Gareth got from just moving positions, not really having to worry about defending 1v1 and stopping crosses and stuff like that. And he just excelled. And then the following season, he kicked on again. Like you said, that Inter game, they just won the treble, didn't they?
Yeah.
Mourinho, they just won the Champions League. So they had Maicon, who was considered the best right back in the world at the time. Zanetti always played over that side, who's one of the best players to ever step on a pitch. So yeah, obviously 4-0 down at half time, it was a case of let's not make this double figures or make it embarrassing. But thankfully, Gareth scored sort of 3 identical FIFA goals.
I think he actually finished Maicon. I think that's because Maicon then was, like you said, he was like one of the best right backs. But I think coming up against Bale, I think that was literally where it just started. Because Bale literally just exposed him. And then again,
I think it's a different type of. When you watch Italian football, it's quite slow and quite passive to an extent.
Yeah.
So I think for him to come up against, especially a big club like Inter, who would have Mourinho as manager for a few years before, teams will go there and probably have 5 at the back, 4 in midfield, and not really try and attack.
Yeah.
So I think someone young and fearless like Gareth, who was direct at the time, every time he got the ball, he wanted to take him on. I don't think he would have been used to that. And I'd say, thankfully, he had that sort of inside left finish into the far bottom corner on lock that day. Managed to nick himself a hat-trick and make the result and performance more respectable for us as a club.
Yeah, so you weren't surprised, I take it, when he then went on and, became the player he was at Madrid?
Year by year at Spurs, he got better and better. And then I think, was it his last year? Oh yeah, I think his last year or second to last year at Spurs, he went from the left or the right to sort of playing quite a few games as a number 10. I think that was his last year actually under ABB.
Yeah, and he
where we
could
had
just not stop scoring.
more of a license to drift out onto the right hand side and double up, or drift out to the left and double up,
Yeah,
and obviously get himself in the box, pick the ball up from deep, and take midfielders on rather than fullbacks. And
yeah.
obviously, we've seen with his shooting that he can score from anywhere.
So, question now, in the eyes of the boot, shout out Pato. Do you think you would have had a better career at centre back? Because you mentioned you did play a couple games at centre back early on. Was that a position you actually liked?
I've always preferred playing in midfield. I don't think I'd have had a better career. When I signed for Tottenham, it was probably as a centre back actually, because in my second season at Derby, probably 65% of my games were at centre back when we finished fourth. But I think Martin, you'll probably naturally seeing that the defensive side of it wasn't my natural game, and moved me and kept me in midfield. I did actually play a couple of games. I think that was under Ramos at centre back at Tottenham. And actually did quite well, to be fair. But I think long term, I think probably around this age, in my head, it was always a case of playing in midfield, and then maybe once you're in your 30s, if you have to drop back, then that would always be an option.
Okay. Big up for that question, Pato. Okay, I'm going to mention some players that you've played with, and you're just going to give me a quick, like, what you think of them. Okay, cool. So, Berbatov.
I always say he's probably the best player I've played with for what he did at the time. Obviously, Modric and Bale have probably gone on with 4 Champions Leagues and
shout out Turkish.
Probably outdone what he did at Man United. But I think at the time, coming into Tottenham, he just had that extra bit of class. We still had unbelievable strikers, don't get me wrong, but I think just his touch and never lost possession and stuff like that, I think he was unbelievable, to be fair.
I remember a game against Fulham. I think you were losing, and then he come on, and then he scored, and I remember Andy Gray just saying, "Oh, this guy oozes class." He was just so good. Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've played with so many good strikers at Spurs. JD's, what is it? I don't even know how old he is now. He must be pushing 40.
I think he's 44, man.
He's unbelievable. Like, first and foremost, dedication to football. Constant, like, loves football more than probably anyone I've ever met. Always wants a ball at his feet, and he's just driven and just wants to score goals. And technically, with both feet, he's one of the best I've played with.
Yeah. 2 more. Modric. Oh, Modric.
Yeah, now Luka, I know everyone thinks he struggled a little bit when he first came in to Tottenham, but obviously in training it's different. You can see his technical qualities and his first touch, passing it 40 yards with the outside of his foot because he never wanted to use his left.
Yeah.
But again, I think he probably struggled because he was stuck out on the left wing and he don't like playing out there. As you've seen from Madrid for the past 7 or 8 years, put him in the middle of the pitch where he can affect the game and get on the ball in a lot of different positions. And he's one of the best in the world. But in England, somebody that size, they wouldn't ever think to play him as a deeper midfielder where he plays for Croatia to like get the game going. In England, if you're that size and you play central, you have to be a number 10.
Yeah.
You have to be as far away from our goal as possible. But
I really hope that changes. Honestly,
it has to change. Yeah.
I really hope that changes because that really does hold back England. I reckon. When they get players like that, they just want to, if they don't look at the actual talent and what they can actually do with the ball. They look at the size first.
Yeah.
And I just don't really. Yeah. Like Wilshere was one of them. I think Wilshere at the time should have easily been England's anchorman.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But, they don't like to They don't like to do things the easy way here. And touching on England, great segue king. Does it disappoint you when you look at the amount of games that you've actually played for England?
It doesn't. I think if I'd been offered 4 caps when I was growing up, I'd have obviously bit your hand off for it. The disappointing thing is the era that I sort of was playing majority of my games in the Premier League, and you had Gerrard, Lampard, Carrick.
Oh, you had players.
I think Scholes had retired from England then, but it was like Gareth Barry. And if you think of Carrick, Lampard and Gerrard, for a number of years, them three were getting to semi-finals of Champions League. It was impossible, really, for the manager to leave them out. You had Scotty Parker doing well at a lot of clubs as well.
Because Capello called you up for the World Cup preliminary squad. When you're in there, because of the people you named, are you looking around thinking, I'm just going to enjoy this, and if I get a call up, then I get a call up? But do you actually look at it and think, it's very unlikely I'll get a call up with the players that are there? Because you had, in that squad, you had Milner, Gerrard, Lampard. No, not Gerrard. Gerrard weren't there. Was he injured? Barry.
No, he should have been there, I think.
No, Gerrard weren't there for the World Cup 2010 squad.
Yeah.
I think he got injured because he's not on that list. Gerrard did miss. I think if Gerrard missed the 2010 World Cup, actually. But so do you look around and think to yourself, it's going to be tough, but, we'll just enjoy it while I'm here?
That year you mentioned is the year, as I say, I played 35 out of 38 league games and we finished 4th.
Yeah.
So I felt like I had a good season myself and the club had a good season. That was the year that Gareth Barry was touch and go with an ankle injury, I think, for he missed the last 8 weeks of the season or something like that. So in my head, I was thinking, if he is ruled out, then I should be in the squad. Obviously, I wouldn't expect to play at the World Cup, but it would be unreal to be in the final 23. And Capello had said he was leaving it as late as possible because there was a time when Barry was his sort of main man in midfield. So yeah, that was disappointing not to be in that, because they did end up going with Gareth Barry, which is fair enough. But the frustrating part was, so there's as I say, the 30-man squad, 23 went to the World Cup, 7 sort of got binned off. And then the following season, I think after a couple of games of the season, there was another England squad. And in my head, which I would think is more logical, Capello would have a look at them 7 players that just missed out.
Okay, so Gerrard did play 2010. Okay, cool. Yeah, go.
Yeah, so I thought, I'll definitely be in the squad as 7, or probably get a cap or 2 caps. And then out of the 7 that got binned, there was only two of the players that were in the next squad.
Yeah.
After that, which was quite a disappointing World Cup when we lost to Germany 4-1 or 4-2.
With that Frank Lampard one, right?
Yeah. So that was the only frustration, was once I didn't make that squad, like the following squad after the World Cup, it was always I was always fighting an uphill battle, I felt.
Yeah. Do you look at the England's whole setup back then, anyway, maybe not so much now, and think it should, is there confusion where it's like, what's the criteria for getting called up? Is it on form, or is it on, sentiment? Do you look at that and think, what's going on here?
As you say, I think it has changed a lot now. Nowadays, you could play 7 or 8 half-decent Premier League games and get a couple of caps, whereas back then you had to probably have a good 6 months to even get called up. I know the caliber of player, as I said before, with the big 4 at the time, there was a lot of players made up from them. if you think like Neville or Glenn Johnson, Rio, John Terry, Ashley Cole, Carrick, Gerrard, Lampard, Joe Cole.
Yeah.
So there was a lot more players at the top clubs in England that were playing regular. Whereas nowadays, I think if you're at a big club and you're in and out of the team, you've got more of a chance
Yeah.
of getting in the England squad rather than if you're at the sort of second or third tier team on paper
Yeah.
playing regular. I think you've got more of a chance. You see it with some of the players now that are in and out of the teams, might play one every three at the top clubs and are in the squad, but if you've got someone near the bottom doing just as well, but
Yeah.
because it's not as fashionable, they don't seem to make the call.
No, definitely. Yeah, I don't really know what the criteria is for England anymore, to be honest, and that's what frustrates me most about them. But like you said, it does look like it's changing, and you know, now's the best time for it to change because of the talent that they do actually have.
Yeah.
So, a question. This is about your time at Hull. Did you expect big moves from Robbo and Maguire while at Hull? So, Robertson, the Liverpool left back, obviously.
I did obviously think they'd probably both move on from Hull. For Harry, it was difficult. He didn't play too much in the year that we got relegated, or not even so much actually the year we got promoted. And then he started to play a bit more in the Prem. Marco Silva came in, who liked ball playing centre halves. Played Harry back end of that season, and then Leicester made a good bid. I think it was like 15, 16 million, which at the time everyone was saying was way over the odds. And then sort of 18 months later, they sold him for 80 to Man United. So, and then the same with Robbo. The year we got promoted, we had him and Odebajo as our fullbacks, whether we played 3 at the back or 5 at the back, or 4 at the back. Yeah, and Robbo was another one, enthusiastic, loves football, was very quiet for the first couple of months, but once he let his ear down and got to know the lads better, he never shuts up. So
you can tell that now. He absolutely loves it.
Buzzing for both of them because they're both like top lads, to be fair, and they deserve everything they get.
What do you think as a player now, who's played at the higher end, of like transfer fees and stuff like that? Because from the outside looking in, obviously we're like, no, that's crazy, but it's normal to us now. You as a player, do you look at the transfer fees the same way and think, how's he gone for so much money? Because you mentioned Maguire going for 80 mil. Like, do you look at that and just think this is absolutely crazy? Or
I think it all started about 2 or 3 years ago, didn't it? Where
was that TV money or something like that?
I don't know, it must have been, but I remember thinking, I don't want to single him out because I think he's good, but like when West Ham paid 40 million for Felipe Anderson, I just thought like it's not as if like Lazio were winning the league or in Europe or nothing like that.
Yeah,
that just seemed a lot. And then Neymar's was like 170 or something daft like that. But you know, PSG have got that type of money. And then I think now if you're half decent player, whereas before it might be 10, 15 million. If you're half decent now, you're looking at 40, 50. I think the current crisis might half a lot of the transfer fees, to be honest. I read something the other day, someone saying Bruno Fernandes, he went for like 65 to Man United, but if it was to happen now, it'd probably be like 15 to 20 million just because of the way the clubs are struggling financially. So I think it will come back down, but it did just go mad for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, no, that's flipping crazy. Next question is, so your time at Hull, how did that come about then? Was it the whole AVB stuff, not really being the team and whatnot, and then you just decided that it was time for a change?
Yeah, my mindset has always been to play as often as possible. As I said, I missed about 18 months. Then I was in and out under AVB. So the following season, I didn't really want to go through that again. I was coming up to like maybe 26, 27 years old. So I wanted to sort of play regular for the next 4 or 5 years at least. I think Tottenham had agreed a price with Hull and Sunderland, which obviously once the club agrees a price, you know, the writing's on the wall. It's time to, if they're happy to accept a bid, then it's time to go anyway. Spoke to Steve Bruce.
What was he like?
Yeah, he's good. He tells you everything you want to hear, to be honest. I met him. I'd obviously had permission of Tottenham to meet and speak to him. And then spoke to Di Canio on the phone the same evening, and he was completely opposite to Steve Bruce. It was almost as if he was, rather than him trying to sell me the club and his tactics and stuff like that, it was almost as if he was doing me the favour, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Steve Bruce had been totally the other way. So in the end, it turned out to be quite a straightforward decision, to be honest.
Okay. While you was at Hull, when we talk about the FA Cup final now with Arsenal, happy you lost, but that's me as an Arsenal fan. But let's go through that game very quickly because we're going to cut out. It's going to cut out, but then we'll come back for like another 10, 15 minutes. Okay, cool. So, FA Cup final, you guys are 2-0 up. Cazorla puts that free kick in. When that happened, did you look at it and think, we're in trouble here? Or did you actually still feel that, no, we're actually still going to go on and win this?
When we went, we was 2-0 up in about 10 minutes, weren't we?
Yeah.
Which was obviously a surprise in itself. And I honestly felt, especially that first half, I don't think Arsenal ever looked like scoring.
Until that went in.
So for us to give, first of all, such a cheap free kick away, and then for someone to sort of score a side foot curler from 40 yards, which should never go in. It was like, if we get into half time at 2-0, the way that we played that season, a lot of the time we played 5 at the back.
Yeah.
Sort of a diamond in midfield and 1 striker.
Okay, wait, it's going to cut off in... Okay, cool. Guys, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come straight back and then I'll just join in and then we'll keep going. So when we come back, just get your questions in and we'll get another 15 minutes in. Yeah, so guys, this is the second part of my chat with Tom Huddlestone. We're just going to give you a bit more and then, so get your questions in now. If there's anything that you want me to quickly cover, then just let me know. And then, so I'm just waiting for him to come on. Guys, get your questions in. Or let me know in the comments something that you want me to ask very quickly. And then once he gets in, I will add him back. But I don't know where he is though. So get your questions in. What question is this one here? Fundraiser, amazing deal. Here he is. Get him in. Just waiting for him to come in now. Okay, cool.
Good time to cut out that.
Say again?
It was a good time to cut out.
Yeah, I'm telling you. No, it weren't a good time. I need to hear back. But yeah, go on. So it goes in.
Yeah, so
shouldn't go in.
I just thought at the time, didn't feel like Arsenal were creating much or didn't think that they looked like scoring. So obviously from Arsenal's point of view, it's a good free kick and whatever, but from our point of view, it's a cheap free kick. And then the goalie played brilliant for us that year. He probably wouldn't expect to be beat from there. And as I say, I think if we got in the way we played that year, if we'd got into half time at 2-0, I'd have fancied us to hold on. But yeah, even at 2-1, beginning of the second half, I remember like just enjoying the second half, thinking these lot still don't look like equalising. To be fair,
Yeah.
I thought not that we created too much in the second half, but I always felt thought it was relatively comfortable. But obviously, it wasn't to be in the end.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, because that was the first trophy we'd won in like 10 years or whatever. And I just remember being so happy. But can you remember there was one part in that match towards the end when Aluko had a chance?
Yeah, he should have passed it though, shouldn't
Yeah. Oh my,
Yeah.
so happy.
Did he take it round the goalie on like the left wing?
Yeah,
and shoot.
He shot, but he probably should have just passed it into someone in a better position.
Who was in? I don't know why, but I think it might have been Curtis Davis up there for some reason. And because I'm sure Kurt was saying after it was like him and Gibbs.
Yeah.
So even if he just like put it high in the air, just for Kurt to win any type of header into an open goal. But obviously, cup final, he's probably seen the headlines.
Yeah, 100%. So, also another thing that happened at Hull, you going in goal.
Oh yeah, that was on it.
So when you went in goal against Palace, so the keeper's been sent off, and was it known that you're like the best person on the pitch to go in goal, or were you just told you go in?
No, I won't even saying that. I've always said every club I've been at, apart from whoever's number one, I've got the best handling out of all the other goalies. But no, it was the last few minutes. We'd already made 3 subs. Curtis was actually going to go in goal, but I think we were 1-0 down at the time.
Yeah.
So we were obviously going back to front, trying to get the equaliser.
Yeah.
So I sort of just said to Kurt, "You're better in the air than me, so you just plonk yourself up front. I can probably kick it a bit further, so I'll just go at the back and I'll just sort of shell it forward, basically." But yeah, there was only like 2 or 3 minutes. There was one chance they had. They were breaking. It was like 2v1. I can't remember who was on the ball, but Cameron Jerome was like 3 on this side, and we had 1 defender. And naturally, as a player's instinct, I was like, I'm going to anticipate this pass.
Yeah.
But I was only like 30 yards out, so I'm thinking, if the player on the ball sees I've tried to anticipate, he's just going to roll it into an open net. So thankfully, I just stayed in play and he messed the pass up. So I didn't have any saves to make or nothing, which was.
But you kept a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Kept a clean sheet. So we're going to quickly go on to Derby. Going back there, was it a thing of, this is where I started, it only makes sense for me to go back? Or was it actually a thing where you actually got sold, the whole going back to Derby, and you had other options? Or did you just always just want to go back to Derby?
From when I first left, I did always say I'd love to come back at some point in my career.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my 4 years at Hull were unbelievable for whatever reasons. I loved it, to be fair. Me and the missus just had my last year at Hull. I was back living in Nottingham and travelling up and down because we'd just had the baby and all my family were in Nottingham, so it was a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And I had a buyout clause basically in my contract, which Derby matched, and I was watching. Our squad was down to the bare bones anyway at Hull, and then Robertson left, Maguire left, Curtis Davis had left, Klukas was relatively confident he was leaving.
Yeah.
And it was like we'd have had to play like the under-23s, who none of them had first team experience. So once Derby had actually activated the release clause, I looked at Derby's squad, and to be fair, that first season I think we should have been looking at automatic promotion because we had 2 good players for every single position, which was what I was looking at. So when I looked at the squads, comparing the squads, there was no comparison. At Derby, it was Wisdom and Chris Bird as your 2 centre-backs. Keogh, Davis, Pearce and Shackle as your 4 centre-backs. Forsyth and Olsen as your 2 left-backs. myself, Jono, George Thorne, someone else. That is our 4 centre mids. And you had like Johnny Russell, Andy Vyman, Ikechi Anya,
Oh,
and someone else.
Vyman's a good man.
That's as like your 4 wingers, and then your strikers. It was Chris Martin, Nugent, Vidra. Who else? There was one more I can't even remember. But I just thought we had two players for every position that were good, established championship players, or have played at a good level for a few years in the Premier League.
But do you think that team was better than the team you had under Lampard,
though? We played in a completely different way, so it's hard to tell, to be honest. I think last year with Lampard, we had the 3 lads that come on loan that equally have gone on. Obviously, Mountney and Tamori have gone back to Chelsea, played a lot of games, and both broke into the England squad.
Wilson as well.
Wilson, he's gone on loan to Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Continued to play regular and scoring goals. So I think to get them 3, they played majority of the games. They were excellent for us, to be fair. And as I say, last year was probably more on the front foot and imposing ourselves on teams with possession and not letting them settle on the ball. Whereas the year before, when I first signed, we was probably a bit more of a counter-attacking team with Vyman and Russell down the wings.
Yeah.
Vidra as a number 10. And then probably Nuge up top or Chrissy Martin.
I feel like you prefer your first season.
Oh, on a personal level, yeah. I played 47 games in my first year. And last year, I only played, I think, like 28 or something like that. So on a personal level, I did enjoy the way we played last year. I just didn't play as much as I would have liked, like, personally.
Why that is, when you look back at it, is there a reason why you felt like you didn't play as many games? Or it just happened?
Again, from the outset, and my thoughts would be that because we were like fully pressing teams and not letting them settle on the ball, would be for that reason. But every time I spoke to the manager and asked what he wanted me to improve on to get in and around or closer to playing more regular, he never really gave me that answer. So I'm not sure, to be honest. But the lads that were playing were doing well.
Yeah.
Whether that was, as I say, Jono was the deeper one with Mountney and Wilson in front, or Joe Ledley started the season as the deeper one. So we did have a decent squad, to be honest.
What's it like playing with Bradley Johnson?
Better playing with him than against him, because he's over aggressive, whether that's his feet, his head, or his elbows. But no, yeah, Jono's good to play with. You know exactly what you're getting off him. And he's got that bit of quality on the ball as well to find a pass. And he always pops up with goals whatever club he's at or whatever position he's playing. He's always popped up with goals for years.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now, at the end, we always do a five-a-side. So your five-a-side of players you've played with. So you've got to pick your best five-a-side of the players that you've played with.
I would go for in goal. In goal, I'll go for Gomez.
Okay, Aurelio.
Which, when I've done my 1 to 11, I always go for Lloris. But if you're saying a five-a-side, then some of the saves that Gomez can pull out are like no one else in the world will be able to make the saves.
They call him the spider or something, isn't it?
Octopus.
Oh, the octopus, yeah. His arms are long or something.
I think he made a couple of like high-profile errors, didn't he, at Spurs? Which is going to happen as a goalkeeper, which it's always going to result in a goal. But some of the saves that he has made, there was one on, I can't remember if it was Giggs or Gerrard, that at the time I'm saying there's only him in the world that would have been able to make that save.
I think I vaguely remember. Was it going top bins or something?
There was a Giggs one top corner, and I think Gerrard hit it into someone. It's gone into the floor and lobbed him after he's already dived, but he's just got his fifth arm to it somehow. Centre back.
So Gomez and goal, centre back. I know you've got a pick.
Yeah, no, Ledley. I'll pick Ledley, but a special mention for Vertonghen as well, because technically on the ball, ability-wise, he come in and he was doing like tricks. Just when you just stood about messing about, he does tricks that like wingers can't even do, and he's like a centre half or left back. That I think it's just the Ajax thing.
Oh, he's come from the Ajax school of football.
So yeah, I'll have to go with Ledley because he's got obviously everything.
How good was Ledley though?
Yeah, he's unreal, and it's just a disappointing that he never really got a chance to train regular or like, especially in my time, or play a sustainable amount of games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think even though I seen a clip on Twitter earlier actually where he made that tackle against Chelsea, where Robin, who was one of the quickest players in the world at the time, and Ledley, even though he probably hadn't trained for 3 weeks, still managed to catch up with him and make the tackle.
I think it just speaks volumes that he didn't play anywhere near as much as he should have, but everyone still rates him as like one of the best. Like it just lets you know just how good he was. But yeah, so you got Gomez,
Ledley, Modric. Modric for sort of his first touch and ability to find a pass and just seeing the game different to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Next one would be, I'll go for Dembele, but equally could have been Van der Vaart, but Dembele, I think.
Hold on. This is the Tottenham team. We're basically doing Tottenham. But anyway, go on.
I had about 8 years there. It's my longest time at a club.
Alright, cool. Fair enough.
Yeah, obviously Musa on a five-a-side pitch, no one's going to get him off the ball. He can find passes and score goals. Equally, I think Van der Vaart in a five-a-side team will be pretty similar to Modric.
Yeah, Tottenham had Van der Vaart. Oh, that team that had Van der Vaart in it, like, Tottenham were actually decent. In fact, that's a question. In fact, I'm going to come back to that one. Yeah, but go on.
And then as a focal point, I'll have to go with Berbatov.
Oh.
Just as the main number 9, five-a-side. Wouldn't have to do too much running about. But yeah, I'd fancy that five-a-side team against most, to be fair.
Yeah, no Bale.
It'll be hard to get him in. I think I'd have to stick with him.
Okay, that's a good one. So, what about Rooney? Because you played with him for England.
When I was in and around the England squad, he was more of like England's main go-to guy. When he was like the number 10 or even a number 9 a lot of times. Whereas now he's at Derby, he's playing a little bit more withdrawn as sort of a number 6 or a number 8 in midfield. But equally, he probably, even though he scored a few, to be fair, he's not getting the chances that he was getting before within open play. But he's using his ability and experience to dictate games from sort of 30, 40 yards deeper than he's probably naturally used to. But I think from when he's burst on the scene, everyone's seen that he just loves football and just wants to be on the ball as much as possible. So I think this slightly deeper role probably suits him more, especially at the age he is as well.
So you got Gomez, Ledley King, Luka Modric, Dembele, and Berber. That's your 5. I don't normally ask you for a manager, but Bill, shout out Billy Piper. He's in the comments asking who your manager would be. Either side.
I think I could manage M5.
You think you could?
Yeah. But no, I think I mentioned it earlier, but Marco Silva, I only had him for 6 months at Hull, but he was. It's been surprising that he's left Watford and Everton as soon as he has, because them 6 months at Hull, he was thorough with everything he did. We had different tactical game plans with and without the ball for every different opposition.
Yeah.
It was never just set on one idea. If we played someone different the other week, he would study them and tweak the way that we played a little bit. And when he come in just after Christmas, we were dead and buried, to be fair. And then we picked up some good results, and with a bit more luck, the last 2 or 3 games of the season, we might have been able to have our own version of the Great Escape, but it wasn't to be.
I think I'm not surprised by Watford, because Watford have this whole thing of getting rid of managers. I'm surprised at Everton that he went, but in this day and age now, managers don't really get time. They don't get time anymore. So that's your Tottenham team. And what I did want to say is, as an Arsenal fan, me, of course, when you're playing for Tottenham at that time, did you actually feel that you could overtake Arsenal them times, even though you couldn't?
I think my first few years there, the gap was pretty big. And then by the time I left, I felt like it was relatively even, as much as you lot won't want to admit that.
It weren't even, mate.
But I thought, if you look at their squad when I first got to Tottenham, sort of their last year at Highbury, or the first year or two at the Emirates, it was like a manly squad kind of thing, if you know what I mean. It was 11 sort of fully grown men. Whereas towards the end, when I left Tottenham, what was that? 6 or 7 years ago, you could see that it was sort of going like that, and Tottenham were gradually getting above Arsenal, which is the case up to now still.
All right, Tom, it's been great, mate. No, but on that, what I will say is that through Arsenal's toughest years, this has been this has been Tottenham's, greatest time, and they still haven't managed to really push on. So I do think it will change back over the next couple of years. And MK, you're a bit late. We've spoken about Bale and Maicon already. And what I'm going to do now, guys, we've got about 5 minutes. So if you've got questions, get them in. Okay. Here's one on Rooney. In the short time you spent working with Wayne Rooney, can you see he has all the attributes to be a top-class manager?
Yeah, I think so. I think the hardest thing would be for players of that level that have played at the top for 15 years and have sort of come straight out of school into Everton's first team at 16 and stayed at the top until, what is he now, 34, 35 and still going strong. I've seen how he is with the younger players, and he's very helpful and patient and stuff like that. So I think a lot of world-class players, when they go into management, struggle with that side of it, as in they expect everybody to see passes that they see or be as good as they are.
Yeah.
But I think with Wayne, the few months I've worked with him, watching him with lads that aren't as talented as him or with younger players, he's very helpful and patient with his explanations and ideas and things like that. So I think he's got all the attributes to manage at whatever level he feels comfortable.
Yeah, I think he'll manage. And because he's who he is, I think he'll get fast-tracked, even though I don't particularly agree with that, but still. Best player you swapped shirts with?
I started actually when I was playing for Derby, swapping shirts. The first one I got, because I was a bit of a Chelsea fan growing up, I got Dennis Wise one when we played against Millwall. And then when I went to Spurs, I've got loads, to be fair. Obviously, my favourite one's probably Gerrard. But equally, I've got Zanetti and Maicon from when we played Inter. I've got Klose from when we played Lazio.
Oh, Klose.
Xabi Alonso from when we played Real Madrid in the quarters. And then I've got a lot of the sort of Premier League legends like Rio, Lampard, John Terry, Scholes, Suarez.
Bloody hell, you're just reeling off
Ballack,
names there, mate.
Ballack, Shevchenko, Sen. I've got a lot, to be fair. They're not all up. They're all in frames, but they're not all up at the minute.
Okay. How did the Huddle Throw fundraiser come about? Amazing idea.
But that might be coming back soon by the looks of this. Now, what happened with that was, as I say, when I first got injured, I'd never had an operation before. Or I'd had one operation on my knee, which was nothing really. I was back running after 10 days and touch wood, never had an issue with it since.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was thinking, the ankle operation is going to be a smooth process as well. They told me 4 months, which was October time. So in my head, I was thinking, I played regular for 2 years, missed like November, December, January. If I get back February, March, April, May, that gives me sort of 3 or 4 months to get a goal, kind of thing. So I had a joke with my mate and then just decided to set it up for charity, that I wouldn't cut my hair until I was back fit and scored a goal. So that 4-month injury turned into about 18 months, like I said earlier.
I remember when you did.
By that time it was
Yeah.
slightly out of control. And then I had another year at Tottenham, in and out of the team with AVB. Didn't score because I played quite deep. And then I went to Hull, and even then I had a lot of shots in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
But again, I was on a lot of the crossing free kicks and corners. A lot of that was me taking them. So I was thinking to try and nick a goal so I can cut my bonnet. But yeah, eventually we played Fulham on my birthday, which was like 28th of December.
Was it a deflection? Was it deflected?
No. There was one against Liverpool before, but I didn't claim that one.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, we beat Fulham 6-0, and I think I scored like the 3rd or 4th goal in that game. And I'd been waiting sort of a year and a half for a physio to cut my bonnet as a celebration, expecting it to be at Tottenham, but it didn't manage to score there. So yeah, that was what it was for. But I managed to raise, I think it was about £70,000 for cancer research. So that was the main thing.
Oh, that's an excellent thing. Okay, last couple. Do you see yourself going? Oh shit, let me just put it up. Shout out MK every time. Do you see yourself going into management?
Not sure about management as in managing, but I would like to get into a coaching setup. I think I'd be able to help younger players, or I'd give a manager different ideas of training sessions or tactical ideas, which is something I'd be very interested in. As in the management side of it, I'm not 100% sure at the minute, but a lot of lads I've played with that have done that, I think you get sort of 2 or 3 years down the line, and then they want to have that results-driven hunger, what they've had throughout their playing career, and they want to step into management and sort of be the main man themselves. So down the line, possibly, but for sure, some form of coaching, I'd definitely like to do.
Okay, last 2. No, I'm not asking that one. Okay, I've had this one a couple of times. Let me ask this one actually. What was your best memory at Spurs? Or your best game? Let's say your best game at Spurs.
I think memory would probably be winning the Carling Cup, but best game, I think captaining the team when we beat Inter at home.
Yeah.
In the not the second leg, the second group game. Especially with what had happened before that, when we lost 4-3, but it could have been 10-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. There was a few. I watched a bit of the one the other day when we beat West Ham 4-3 in the last minute. Obviously, the 4-4 with Arsenal, 3-3 with Arsenal when I scored. What else? 4-4 against Chelsea and Villa. But yeah, I'd probably say the Inter game, to be honest.
Okay, and last one. Give me your five-a-side team of players you played against, and then we'll wrap up.
Van der Sar in goal.
Van der Sar.
Probably Rio Ferdinand, centre half.
Ooh, nice. Van der Sar, Rio.
Trying to think of what shirts I've got here. I'll probably go for Zanetti and Gerrard as a two-man midfield.
Rio, Zanetti, Gerrard, Van der Sar, and up top?
It'd have to be Cristiano.
Oh, yeah, Cristiano. So there's no room for Fabregas, Cazorla, Van Persie.
Cazorla's brilliant, but I don't think we need a bit of grit, don't you? So we need Gerrard and Zanetti.
You know what?
Don't want to give you the satisfaction either.
No, I think this has actually been my worst one, to be honest. My worst.
I should have worn a Tottenham kit, to be fair.
No, I was actually going to wear my Arsenal one, but I know the comments wouldn't let me live it down. But yeah, no. So thank you so much for coming on, man. And I hope you've had fun, guys. If you, we're going to put this out on the Counter Attack, which is here pinned. It's going to be on the YouTube from tomorrow or the day after. And yeah, man, just follow and keep, up to date with what we're doing, man. Probably going to have another one this week. And yeah, Huds, thank you again. Stay safe and all of that good stuff. Do you know what you're doing next season yet?
I don't, to be fair. My contract's up at the end of June, so I don't even know what I'll be doing this season, to be honest. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be sorted.
Yeah. Do you want to stay another season at Derby? Exclusive.
Yeah, ideally, but obviously, as I said earlier, with the finances of clubs and stuff, I don't know if clubs will be able to offer contracts and stuff like that. So just wait and see. Feeling good, and now I've got at least the way I play another 2 or 3 years at this level at least. So
yeah,
hopefully whatever gets sorted, I'll still be playing next season, wherever that may be.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know what level you want to play at now, but I know the way Tottenham are going, it should be in the Championship next season. So hopefully you can get them back up when they do go down. But yeah, no, thank you so much, guys. Love for tuning in, and I'll probably see you again later on this week with another Daps Can Chat. So see you, everyone.
Cool. Cheers.